today, Joe Fitzpatrick is going to join us, and I'm gonna pull Joe up here. Joe, say hello to everybody.
Hey Jim, thanks for having me. Hello everybody.
Yeah,
Great
yeah.
to be here.
What? Thanks for joining.
So like you mentioned, many different types of companies use Fieldwire, whether you're a subcontractor or a GC. We wanted like both flows to work for you. Whether you're just using it internally for your company, somebody else is using, another system. We wanted you to be able to do multiple flows
Nice.
within it, whether you're creating and submitting or creating and requesting costs from like a subcontractor. So that's what that requested is as well. Ideal world, all stakeholders are on Fieldwire, but sometimes that's not realistic. So we didn't want to just not have those workflows work. We wanted to allow for those scenarios as well. So we kind of have two different ways you can handle it.
Okay.
One of the ways is within RFIs and submittals, those are a bit more mature features. So some of those features within it, we're pulling over to change orders soon here as well. But if they are in the platform, but they're not logging in, we can go ahead and assign an RFI to them. We can probably open up RFIs actually, and I got a draft one there we can check out.
Right. Okay.
So this is just kind of a placeholder, but if we go to assign and send, we can open up that modal, and we have two options now. So we can either select project user, which is anybody who's got a Fieldwire account on the platform.
Okay.
If we assign to them, but for whatever reason, they're just not logging in, they can also just respond to that email notification, and that will be logged in Fieldwire that we could populate on their behalf.
Okay.
And then the second one, where this is one, if they're not even a project user, very common scenario would be like a subcontractor tracking everything internally, but maybe they're general contractors using another platform. They don't even want to, put them on a Fieldwire account. We can
That's a great
actually
example.
enter their email address, and it will actually send a PDF version of the RFI or submittal and eventually change orders here for them to use. If they got their own system, they got to run it through. And then as soon as we get the response back, we can respond on their behalf. But the cool thing is in all of our logs, in all of our exports, we're seeing it's assigned to that email address. So we know exactly whose court that action is in. So in the draft state, we kind of split it into three areas. We got our header up top, all of our details on the right side of the screen, and then all of our cost information, which is really the meat of the change order, in that cost block on the left.
Okay.
So just walking through maybe on the right side of the screen, we have a reason drop down with a bunch of common reasons for maybe why a change order exists. Design change, owner change, unforeseen condition, and so forth. This one's we're calling it owner change.
Okay.
And then we also have a reference number. So this is just a text field. You could use it however you like. If you have, a GC who they have their own change order number and you want to put that into yours, that's like one of the common scenarios we hear for that.
Okay.
And then schedule impact, if applicable, totally optional. We said this was about a 10-day impact. And then the description, which that's really where we'd put our scope of work down there as well. And kind of spell it out exactly what that change was.
See if I can get a little more screen real estate here. There we go.
Yeah. Awesome.
I like the schedule impact. Again, if you watch any of my classes on LinkedIn Learning, don't forget the schedule impact in your change orders.
Absolutely.
Trades or GCs. Don't forget your timely notice right here. So I like it.
Yeah. And then one of the other items we have all throughout Fieldwire is our watchers. So that's like a CC on an email. Anytime you move that change order, RFI submittal task forward in its workflow, that person who's a watcher will get an email notification, let them know, hey, this has changed. So they're always kind of in the loop in the process. And then over in the cost side, that's where we kind of break down the change order cost. And one of the, inspiration pieces we had was just from talking to our customers, all the different Excel spreadsheets they were using to generate their change orders today.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so we kind of mimic that with the different cost sections: material, labor, equipment, subcontractor, and other. Um, and breaking down the cost between those sections allows us to do a couple of things. One of them, it's just get more specific, with our unit types, time versus measurements for like labor and equipment versus materials. And then more importantly, it allows us to add markups to individual sections or the overall change order as well. So depending on how your contract is structured, we wanted to build the cost of markups to really be flexible to handle all the different scenarios, whether you can mark up your labor differently from your materials. Maybe you got material tax you can throw on there, or a labor rate that's different from your equipment rate. Or if it's just one simple markup, we allow you to do that as well.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that unlock separating those out. And
Okay. Yeah.
then,
So I could add a new item here, and like in this example, it looks like you've got just one markup applied to everything, to the
yep,
subtotal. But I could say, well, I want to apply a 20% markup on labor and a 10% on equipment and 5% on my subs. I can go through and do it that way as well.
yep, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
And then that last one, what we call the final markup, it's a markup on top of a markup. So most commonly used for like a bond or insurance.
Mhm. Oh,
Again,
okay.
kind of depend on how your project's structured. But
Hmm.
we wanted to make sure you weren't leaving any money on the table when you're
Hmm.
creating your change order. Really allow you to do everything that you're entitled to do. And then, yeah, beneath there, that's where we got all of our backup documents. So I added in, an image and our meeting minutes where one of the changes was identified. But if you got anything in the files tab, we can throw that in there as well. And this is
Oh,
really
okay.
where the where we're heading with this is a lot of the different links between modules will be able to happen here down the road. So
Yeah.
forms, RFIs, tasks, plans, and so forth. Um, we'll kind of be able to link it to anything else within Fieldwire down the road.
Nice. Yeah, because if I remember right, like if you go to the RFI, let's
Yep.
see if I do this right. The RFI module.
Yep. Over on the
I
right as well.
Yeah, my attachments. I could
Oh yeah.
even go in and crop a plan section directly on. So if I'm asking a question and I want to make it really easy for the architect to find everything and not have to jump them through, jumper through all the plan sheets, I can just crop the plan and stick it right on here as well. So,
Yep.
yeah, that's kind of cool.
Absolutely. If a change order goes through the first time without any changes, fantastic. We know that's not always the case. So we wanted to make it really easy to do revisions within change orders. So one of the change orders we can probably have you click on is the rejected change order towards the bottom of the screen.
All right, that one here.
So this change order was just rejected
Okay.
by the client on the project. Uh, it looks like we don't have exactly why in the notes, but if they
Okay.
were, maybe they told us in a meeting, so we know
Yeah.
exactly why we're doing it. But what we can do here, a couple of options. If we want to continue to pursue the cost and create a revision, if for whatever reason we didn't want to, we can actually void it as well.
Okay.
Maybe it's just a errant thing that we realized was actually in our contract or something along those lines.
Hmm.
um, so the create revision workflow, we can actually do that one, and we can always download it as well.
Okay. So go ahead and create revision.
Yeah, yeah,
So like you said, I like this. So this has been submitted. It got rejected. Maybe it got rejected because whatever, there was too much markup on it, or somebody got a little over anxious and thought that the it was double the work it really is, so they just rejected it. And rather than having to start a brand new change order again, I can just create a revision to this change order and kind of nest that in my log.
exactly. Yep,
Okay.
yep.
All right.
Yeah, and then if we did want to include or build off of what we previously submitted, the previous cost information or backup documentation. We got 2 checked boxes to just copy over that old info. But,
Okay.
for whatever reason we didn't, we could also start from scratch. So we give you the option for that depending on, maybe it's a super complicated change order that you only got to change a couple of things.
Okay.
So that's kind of the idea behind it.
Hmm.
But yeah, let's go ahead and create the revision.
Okay.
And so we see we got the revision 1 tag to it now within our cost block.
Down
So we
here.
know
Okay.
revision 1 of the change order. If we scroll down, we can see, that's what we previously submitted that we copied over.
Okay.
And then on the very bottom is where we have the history of the change order. So if we did want to see the past revisions of what was submitted, we can see rejected on that date by that person. And if we
Nice.
wanted to see, whatever cost was previously submitted, we can check that out too. So when we're doing the revision, we can have context on, okay, I know subcontractor number 1 needs to change by, $500 or something before we
Okay.
resubmit it to the client there.
So we could just come here and we'll drop this down to 25 grand.
There we go. We're scratching their back, making it easy on them.
That's right. All right. Okay. So now the total cost gets updated over here.
And then from there, yeah, it's pretty much the same workflow. From pending revision, we can submit it for approval again. And then after that, they have the option to approve or reject it. If they reject it, we can do another revision if we want. And if they approve it, that's pretty much the end of life of it, of the change order.
And we can put due dates on here and hope that they hope that they honor our due dates, right?
Yep.
We can also put a message in here so they know why they're getting this over again, and then just click on submit.
Yep.
And now we're back to pending approval. These are the kinds of things that are unlocked when you just start off with the digital drawings.
Absolutely.
The digital workflow by itself, I guess, would be nice, but when you pair it with, hey, all my drawings are in here as well, all of my specifications are in here. This is where all the files for the project live. So yeah, again, like you demonstrated through here, maybe I've got meeting minutes from our monthly owner meeting that need to be tacked onto this change order as a reminder. I store those here in the files tab. That's where they live. That's where I want all of my project documents to live. Ideally, right? Like I don't want them to be stored somewhere else. And when I do that, and I try to, I know it's down here somewhere, but when I try and add an attachment, I can just attach that directly from the files tab, and it gets super easy